Welcome to Research Matters, an online show that is all about communicating the research taking place at NUST in efforts to promote the university's research agenda and the impact thereof.
Time for Research and Innovation Matters right here on NUST FM. Of course, I'm not alone. It is Unda and Nigel in studio, and we have an amazing guest lineup for this episode. Now, of course, today's guest is Dr. Sadrag Panduleni Shihomeka. He is the Media Ombudsman of Namibia and a senior lecturer in journalism and media technology at NUST. Now, our very, very own homegrown lecturer. Now, he's also a social media ethnographer and digital ethics scholar. And Dr. Sadrag's research explores how ethical media practices, civic participation, and digital innovation can strengthen democracy, accountability, and citizen empowerment. Good morning, Doctor. How are we feeling? With such a mouthful of an introduction, how does it feel to be Rani speaking this one?
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers and listeners. I think everything's cool, and I think you happen to over-introduce me.
Over-introduce? There's no such thing, Doctor. We just give credit where it...
Okay, that's it, great.
Nigel, how excited to pass for the first massive. Another exciting time to just bring a lot of insight to this conversation.
Yes, indeed. Then welcome back to you. It's good to have us.
I never left, Nigel.
You never left. And they're just around 4 now.
Yeah.
I guess it's good to have Dr. Shihomeka and me too.
There's one listed in Roy that you just read out. This title. Ethnographer. Is that right?
Yes, what is it? Yes, ethnographer, it is coming from the word ethnography. Where I picked it, when I was doing my research in the doctoral studies. What I came into my mind is that, you need to stay with the people. You need to see what people are doing so that you will be able to feel that specific problem, that specific issue, that specific, thing that is really burning them, or the one that is forcing them to act and behave in a different way. Yeah. So in that, then you need to be an ethnographer, meaning that you need to live with them. Then you observe what they are doing, participate in various activities also at the community level, and from there you can write up something based on your observation and participatory. More important, on that participatory observation that you have made. And for me, it came now with the digital ethnographic work that I've been, online and following people on various social media platforms, see how they behave digitally, how they act, digitally. And with that, I came up with major conclusions and areas of, focus in my research activities.
So we could say that doctor is tech savvy. You know how we always say, I don't want to say this, but I have to. You know how we always say our grown-ups or our adults are not very tech savvy, right? But we're moving in a decade or in a way, in a manner in which we have to be to either protect yourself or just to keep up with the times. Yes. So you would say you are on TikTok and on Instagram. You are not just looking at what we're doing, but are you also participating in those social experiments yourself?
Definitely. You can't be, in a certain process or in a certain activity and you are not a participant. And I do not want also to be a silent participant. Yeah. I need to be an active participant. So in that, those online communities, we call them online communities. So I also have to actively participate. I have, my participation is not only posting things that are not building or constructive. I have to participate in a constructive manner to shape, to advise, and also to create awareness about certain issues. Like what I like most is sharing pertinent issues that I know Namibians will benefit from, or my activities and research work that I am doing. So I have to be there as a participant online, follow these things. Unfortunately, on TikTok, I'm not that active, but I'm following what is happening there. Okay. On a daily basis, I have a specific slot for 30 minutes just to look at all my social media pages and see what is there.
Okay. Now let's just take it back a little bit, Doctor. I want to talk about your academic journey and how it has spent over decades of research, basically into citizen engagement, political communication, like you have already touched on slightly. What inspired this focus on social media as a site for civic participation for you?
You see, this is how it started. Having been a teacher for computer studies at secondary school, you know, I taught at various schools here in Windhoek. I think there are more than 5 schools where I taught. And having been, you know, also researching on various emerging technologies and how citizens are utilizing them, you know, for decision making or for them to be able to participate in various online, you know, forums. One thing that came up on my mind is there was a growing number of, you know, young people that are on social media platforms. However, on this side, most of the decision makers, especially, you know, politicians at local authority level, that was now the constituency councillor and regional councils, you know, officials. They were complaining that, you know, when they are calling up for meetings and they would like to see community members to come at town halls physically to participate in on those specific, you know, public meetings, there's a low turnout, you know, especially for, you know, young people. But, you know, at the same time, these young people, they are everywhere, you know, on social media. So then I was like, okay, why can't we use social media as a public platform where people will be engaged on public discourses, where public will be engaged to discuss matters that will shape and also will hold our government accountable? Why can't we do that? That's how I ended up now developing interest on this. Another thing that made me also to have more interest on social media ethics and also citizen engagement is that, you know, I have seen people posting things that are kind of dehumanizing others. You know, it started with people who are participating in local authorities as candidates. They were dehumanized, you know, around 2016, 2015, 2019 there. People were called all sorts of names. And I've seen that, you know, people are taking social media as a leisure platform, just for entertainment purposes only. And therefore, I felt like somebody needs to come in and research, you know, not only researching, but also empowering individuals with relevant skills on how to behave when you are online. What can you post and what can you not post? And also to tell people that your actions offline should be a replica of your actions again online. So there is no difference between offline and online, you know, participation. And lastly, you should differentiate between public, you know, information and the private information on social media. And these are things that really, you know, trigger my interest to see if, you know, I can keep on researching on these things. And, you know, once I happen to find out why do people behave the way they are behaving online, then I will come up with recommendations, sets of recommendations to various organizations.
Now, while you're talking about that, what did this reveal about digital democracy, especially within Namibia, and maybe the challenges of online participation?
Yes, you know, I can start with the challenges. One of them, remember when I started, you know, doing research in this specific field of digital civic participation and engagement. Because first you need to participate in that, being a participant, and there you will be able now to get engaged in the whole process of decision making. So when I started with it, you know, there was also, you know, this say that, you know, all of us in Namibia, I think we have access to various, you know, technological, you know, devices. No, they are saying, you know, the internet connectivity is everywhere. That was just a claim that was there. And to me, I was like, no, not all of us. Then I traveled to a certain village where I found that, you know, people don't even have access to the radio frequency. Television, it was even a luxury to them there. Now, what does it mean? It means that these people are also living far from the offices, constituency offices, where their, you know, leaders are. And when meetings are taking place, these young people, some of them, they are in township. So they will not be able to tell what type of discussions, you know, are taking place at their villages, so that they can also participate, you know, in that public discourse and shape, you know, service delivery in their constituency. So what it entails is that, you know, when we are doing things, you know, online, it will bridge that, you know, boundary. that physical boundary that is there, that you cannot participate in this specific meeting because you are in Windhoek. Now it is no longer there, so you can participate anytime. That's one. But the challenge is for us to control people on what and what not to say and how to behave when they are there. It is a big one. I have this thing when I am always looking at the people, and I'm also, giving them comments and advices like, do not post that thing. They will ask you, are you the owner of Twitter? Why are you acting as if you are the one who came up with Facebook, which is Meta now? So it is. But what it means is that, it is serving as an empowerment tool for young people, especially young people, plus also an empowerment tool for the digitally excluded populations. And who are these people? These are people who are, 55 years and, years old and above. These people, they have that technophobia thing. They are so hesitant, to open, social media accounts. But now you have to convince them, and you have to role model your behaviors and actions on social media so that you can persuade them. Then they'll join, social media platforms and take part. So it means that, it will serve as an extended, democratic tool for all of us as citizens. If we are using it properly, all of us will be able now to participate in various, discussions, even when that discussion is outside the country, because you have it there. But ethics is key to all this online participation.
Now let's look at what higher education institutions such as NUST, can do to bridge the gap between the academic research and the policy implementation in digital inclusion and e-governance.
My friend, I would like to tell you that, it is not just a matter of, carrying out research. And if higher education institutions such as NUST, we are just, carrying out research, publish it and pack it in the digital libraries and archives and, having a library fully packed of research report, and we are not turning it into actionable, outputs, then that's not research. Research is about, impact. Research is about making waves. I like saying this. I was saying it to a certain American professor by saying, when you have conducted research, make noise with that research. Make noise, and people should see and hear that, noise. So institutions, they really need to make sure that they establish, cordial relationship with the industry and the public. And that cordial relationship will lead to tangible output of the research that they are carrying out. So that whatever research that we have conducted and we are publishing it at NUST, the industry should be able to implement it. And, we should also go to the industry and also assist the industry to implement and execute that specific, recommendation that we gave. And we should also evaluate, whether whatever that we have recommended to the industry is working or it is not working, so that you can fine-tune it properly. So institutions, I know NUST is doing very well in this, but we need to strengthen it. And we have to make sure that there is that, cordial relationship. And one thing that institutions of higher learning are a mistake that they are making is that they treat themselves as an individual entity somewhere on top of everything. And they look at the industry like maybe they are just, years. And therefore they don't, step and go to the industry and see what are the gaps in the industry, and they will come and do impactful research that will fill the gaps that they have identified in the industry. You will only know that if you go to the industry and talk to them, or you let people to come. Now, not only the industry, I'm talking about also the society, citizens. So let us involve them in the processes, of coming up with educational materials or educational programs. So we really need to make sure that, we stop this thing of having publications and piles of publications in our libraries, digital archives, and they are not turned into. One problem that I have, our honors students, our master's students, our doctoral graduates, they have done research. But that research is just there in our libraries. It's not being, implemented. And it means that that research is not making any impact. So it is equivalent as if, NUST did not do research in that specific area. Here we are. We have research, and it identified, certain gaps and also recommended solutions to the problem. So if we maintain cordial relationship with the industry, then definitely, our research output will be more impactful.
Absolutely.
Dr. Shihomeka, just it goes back, I guess, to the element of ethnography and civic participation. Why do you think is the reason why researchers are not more vocal with their work?
The researchers.
Yes.
One, I am now speaking as somebody who has been also supervising students, especially at postgraduate level, is that, some people, they are researchers, they are not so, and this is just from my own, observation. They are not so, proud of their work, and they cannot speak of their work publicly simply because were they fully involved in that specific research output? Who really collected the data? Who really analyzed the data? Who is that person that interpreted the data? If you could have gone to the, to the field and you were in the villages, last year I traveled, in all the 8, political regions, doing research on, e-addictions and, related topics. And I have to stay with the people there. And when I stayed with the people, I was also at the same time when I have observed something, I was communicating this, sharing this thing, publicly in the public domain through local radio stations in different, languages to make people aware that, this is the type of research that was conducted. So if you do not know the content of your research and you are not fully involved, you will not speak about it and you cannot be vocal about it. And in my case, I can still remember about my doctoral study, topic, because I was there and I spent 7 months, in the Ohangwena region. You were both in the rural, semi, urban, and also in urban areas. I was there even in the areas when I wrote about, people are complaining that they don't have network. I went to that specific village. I felt it myself. I slept there for 2 days, and I have seen that, yes, there's no network. No matter even if you have a small phone, the touch that we are talking about, there is no network. And from there, I'll speak from experience. So ethnography is about that. You look at the lived experiences of people, and you can't narrate lived experiences if you yourself, you do not know what you are talking about. Yeah. So you won't be able to share it publicly, or it can happen that people are not exposed. Of course, they want to share it, but they don't know where.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Doctor, let's look at your work as a media ombudsman. You've highlighted the importance of self-regulation, but most importantly, accountability as well. How can journalists and citizens balance freedom of expression? Because you know how we say, no, but that's just, I have the freedom to speak or express my views. How can you balance that with ethical responsibility that we all have?
The straightforward answer there is, as a journalist, as a media practitioner, know that, when you have those freedoms and rights, the next person is also having freedoms and rights.
Absolutely.
And therefore, you need to, and also distinguish between what should be in the public platform and what should not be in the public platform. And also look at the motive for you to come up with that specific story and also the consequences of that specific story. For me, is for you to be able to balance that as a journalist, know, your rights, and also know that the next individual is also having rights. By that, at least now you'll be able now to put yourself in the shoes of that person, that what if it was me, being, reported in this specific manner. So that's how, very simple. So act, ethically, do self-reflection first, and from there you'll be able now to apply it to the situation.
Yeah, that brings us to how you have citizen journalists. Or you know how you have a journalist and then you have those that want to break the story quickly because I'm on the scene, you don't consider a lot of the ethics. What advice would you then give to those citizen journalists who also are almost practicing as a journalist themselves, but just because they're in an environment where they can bring out that news quickly, but might not be ethical?
But
they're not trained journalists.
yes, but what I am saying, these things are happening because of what we call moral decay in the society. And when you do not have morality being instilled onto our people, you will have people that turn themselves into citizen journalists, and they will share things that were not supposed to be shared, in the public platform. So therefore, for me, the word that I have for them is that, before you share anything, do fact checking. That's one. Secondly, look at, the possible harm that it will have to people and who is involved. And does it really worth to go into the public domain? And is it really a private or confidential matter? Will it, create, hate speech? Or can I be accused of tribalism? So don't just act because, you came across something. First, do fact check. Very important.
So, Doctor, does this then constitute the broader arm of like social media literacy, ethics?
That's the reason why even our ministry, the MICT, launched a very serious campaign on ethical use of social media. It is because people need to be social media literate. It is one thing for you to be able to open an account on social media, then you access it and do whatever that you are doing there. It is another thing for you to know what is that thing that I can do on this specific social media platform. So we really need to extensively engage ourselves in social media literacy and ethics, campaign, be it at an institutional level or at, individual or household level. So we need to tell people how to behave and how to act and how to, share things wisely, responsibly, and with accountability. And people should also be warned that whatever that you are doing on social media, you will be held accountable for it. There's a responsibility that lies with that post that you are putting there. So if people happen to take it to court, you should be able now to be accountable.
And I think you've also written widely about e-deception and e-addiction. You actually mentioned earlier on about e-addiction. How does that fit in all this?
In as much as we are celebrating social media and we are saying Celebrator, it is a tool that, gave us extended, democratic, powers to do anything, to express ourselves, to share our opinions, to criticize our leaders and to hold our government accountable, and also for the institutions to be more transparent. In as much as we are saying that, there is also, a problem. And the problem is that now people, will end up now focusing more on social media and they use it, and they will not, do the actual work. Productivity rate for these individuals will go down. And also what I have also discovered is that, even the attention span, people are no longer giving attention to their people, at household level because they are busy with social media. That's now addiction that we have. And being, for a prolonged time on social media, it will also expose you to the possibility of being deceived. We have so many people that are deceived on social media, by those fake scammers. Some of them, they were promised things that do not exist. They've been talking to people with the names that do not exist and other things. So social media usage is also exposing you to addiction if you are not careful, if you are not controlling yourself. And also you have a chance of being, addicted, and you will end up not having enough sleep. You will end up being less productive, and, all the other consequences will come in. So the advice is when we are using it, let us use it, wisely and responsibly. And I have done, that research. I have the report that, I think 6 regions that participated: Zambezi, Kavango East, Kavango West, Ohangwena, Omsati, Oshana, and Oshikoto. They participated in that study. And I was, ethnographically, in those regions. And I stayed for some days there and talking to people and see how people have been scrolling, their mobiles, every time, even when they are at funerals and they are in church services, they are just busy on their phone. So
Bible's on our phones, so like
yes, but you can't be reading the Bible the whole time, even when the pastor is preaching. You see?
you're missing out on something here. But all right, let's take a quick musical break while we dissect and digest all the info we just got. But Doctor, perhaps you can tell me why Brenda Fassie Mulindela is your song of choice. Where does it take you?
When I was at secondary school, that time around 1998, that song was the best. So, and I used to enjoy it. And remember that time I was not even having my own radio. So when we are out there, at nearby bars, then I have to listen. Yes, then I have to listen to it. So it's a very nice one. And usually it will, take me back, to those days of 1990s.
Not giving out any age. But of course, stay tuned and enjoy the song. We'll be back on the flip side.
I think we broke a sweat or two during the break.
Did we? We were like just cooled up in here. Doctor didn't bust any move. I was waiting to see some shoulder shrugs, nothing.
I was feeling emotional when I'm, listening to this specific song because it's taking me back to those memories.
But of course, I hope we still enjoyed it the same
Yes.
as you would in your car or at home. Yeah.
All right, so we are back on the second part or second half of this podcast when we're talking to Dr. Shihomeka. And we're just breaking it down with regard to social media literacy, ethics, and the works. Now, Doc, before the break, we spoke at length about media participation and what exactly e-deception and e-addiction. And I think these days we've seen so much AI-generated content out there. And sometimes it's very difficult to differentiate between what's fact and what's fiction, what is harmful, what is not, what is humorous. It's a confusing world that we find ourselves in, especially on the social media platform. So I guess my main question would be, AI and emerging technologies are transforming communication and governance. How can Namibia adopt these tools ethically to advance education, democracy, and as well as social well-being?
Yes, one of the things that I will mention is that, let us now, as a country, actively participate in that, social media ethical use campaign. The campaign is long overdue because we need to educate and empower, all our citizens so that they will know what are the goods and bads of social media.
Yeah.
That's one. Another thing is that, Namibia should also make sure that, we enforce and implement, all the relevant, laws that we have. We have some laws, like the Communication Act. It was even also revised to accommodate these issues. We should enforce it. But you cannot enforce it if people are not literate and they are not aware of the possible consequences and, things that they can do wrong, and it might lead, to courts, or it might lead to lawsuits or something. So as a country, we should make sure that, we revise all our relevant laws also to incorporate this element of AI usage and also the way we are acting online. The other thing also that we need to do is that, as Namibian, as citizens, can't we be just a responsible society? Can't we be a well-informed society? Because once you are informed, automatically you will be an empowered individual. Because at least now you'll know your actions are based on a strong foundation. Yeah. So as a country also, let us also, let us not go that road of saying social media is not good or emerging technologies is not good. Let us just promote the usage of this thing ethically, responsibly, and also taking into consideration our different cultures and traditions and political, environment.
Yeah. Doctor, you emphasize a lot on empowerment, and your research talks about not just informing but empowering the people. How do you ensure that your scholarly work translates into community impact, but also public trust? I think that's the most important one, because if the public doesn't trust the work you're putting out, they cannot trust that they should adjust or change the way in let's say in this instance that they engage with social media because they don't trust you as an individual. So how do you ensure that your work translates into public trust as well?
One, my friend, do evidence-based research. Very important. Evidence-based research. Carry out empirical research. Study that's being informed by specific, evidence, in the society that there is a problem there.
Yeah.
There is an outcry. Then you carry out research on that. And you come up with the output. And that output of the solution, the society will be able now to believe you on. Another thing is that, the public cannot just trust you for seeing you just on radio stations, you're talking about things that you don't have any evidence for. So they can only trust you if they can see that, yes, you are speaking, from, with evidence, because there is a point of departure that you are using. This is the reason why I have decided to do this research, because there has been a public outcry on misinformation. There's been public outcry on disinformation. A lot of issues, people are being, defamed. Defamation is also character assassination online. It has been there. People have seen it. And therefore, if they see you talking about this specific thing and you use evidence or empirical data, they will strongly believe you. And they speak, with authority. If you are not speaking with authority on these specific things, then the public will also be like, if him... He's hesitant to
sound
say.
like he knows
so
what
it
he's
is like
about.
maybe the person is just guessing, and why should we follow him?
But doctor, can you agree that sometimes you can have all the confidence but still be speaking from your head?
No. That's what I'm saying. There is your argument and discussions on evidence. Like what I said, all along since, 2017. That's when I've been involved in researching about, social media ethics and literacy issues. And there I have evidence. I can tell you in this specific region, this is what I've researched on, this was the outcome, and this is the plan that I have. For some of them, what I did is, like I said, okay, because countrywide they need this information. What did I do? I tried to go to different radio stations. Okay, the Kati FM for Oshuambo, listeners, then all of them, they will follow. Then I also tried to go to different, constituencies, even when I was in Zambezi. That's what I've done. So I went to different constituencies, the constituency councillors, they took me to different public gatherings. Then I have to speak about the research output based on that specific research that I've carried out in their community. And they heard about my name, because when I was there collecting data, the councillors were in the radio saying, Dr. Shihomeka is coming tomorrow, he's driving this type of car, it is branded like this, and he's researching on this specific issue. Can you see? They have already created awareness about my research, and the public will have high expectation to hear, what did you find out? And what proposal do you have or solution do you have for us? So that's it.
And I think this is the essence of co-creation. I mean, you're creating this research and this information with the community.
Yes.
And it deserves to go back to the very same community that you have extracted this information from.
As opposed to now to do research for the community. And a number of us, we are doing research for the community, for the industry, not with the community or with the industry. Can you see now the difference? So I think that's now the narrative and the key conclusion that, research should be conducted and should be done with the community and not for the community.
All right, that brings us to the end of yet another exciting episode. Dr. Shihomeka, thank you so much for your time. Nigel, oh, what a blast we've had. Of course, hopefully we can do this again and wrap up the 2025 episode of Research and Innovation Matters. Of course, this brings us to the end. You can catch all the other episodes on our YouTube channel, but don't forget to follow Research and Innovation Matters on Facebook, right? But of course, until next time, it is goodbye.